Yes.
superstition.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello. If you would like, please use the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Seattle. Deb and Julia are both in New York, New Orleans, Seattle. Hello, Patricia, Portland. Sunny Seattle. It's right, isn't it? I mean, look at this. I'll be all in the dark probably by the time this is over, but hello. Oh, coming in from everywhere. I love this. Thank you. Thank you. Canada. I'm getting some of them. Santa Monica, Arlington, Virginia. Hello, hello. We'll let a few more people get tuned in. And then we will get started. Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello. We had lots of registrants, so this might take a second just to kind of reach critical mass here. Thank you for your patience. Hello, hello. Wellfleet, Massachusetts. Hello, welcome. Vancouver, Canada. Toronto, Portland. So good. Thank you, everyone. Okay. It looks like we are starting to level off just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Hamilton. I'm here in Seattle, Washington, and I have a cookbook shop in Seattle's Fremont neighborhood that's called Book Larder. And until about a year ago, we did all kinds of in-person author talks and cooking classes in our shop. And after that, we took things to Zoom. And so we can continue to have wonderful conversations about cookbooks and give people a little bit of relief in this very strange time. And the great thing about that is that, as you can see in the chat, we've got people from all over the country and all over the world who can join us for these talks. And we can have conversations like the one tonight, where basically everyone here is in a different city, but we still get to talk to each other about our love of books and food. And so tonight, of course, we are so happy to welcome Julia Turshen and her wonderful new book, Simply Julia. It came out just last week. We have signed copies, actually, of the book at booklarder.com. You can support the author talk, as so many of you have done already. Thank you so much, by choosing to purchase it from us or from actually another independent bookstore. We will have the signed copies while they last, and I'll put a little link in the chat as well. Julia is going to be in conversation with Deb Perelman of Smitten Kitchen. They are going to talk at the bottom of your screen for questions. That would be great. And then use the chat to talk to each other. And just a tip, if you choose all panelists, if you choose at the bottom, choose not all panelists anyway, then everybody will be able to see your comments and not just us. All right, so enough of me. I'm going to turn things over to Julia Turshen and Deb Perelman.
Hi. I feel like it's just the two of us, but there are so many people here, and that is amazing. And I just want to say that speaks to the Book Larder community, which is just an amazing, amazing thing. And I'm so happy we get to be a part of it. And thank you for doing this. I'm just a little overwhelmed by how many people are here. It's amazing.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of your book conversation. I was like, when it arrived as a PDF before it arrived as a hard copy, both Sarah, who helps me out, and I just tore into it, and we were like, like I just stopped doing I feel like when you publish a book, it's an event, and like I had to stop what I was doing, and there was so much in here. I mean, I think people, those of us who follow your work and your book, like we already were like fans, but it's so nice to like learn a little bit more about you with this book, and like a little bit behind curtain. There's so many like really lovely essays, and then there's just so much like real life stuff, but also like the recipes are just so incredible. There's so many things that I'm like dying to cook. Like I saw I read what you said about the sheet pan meatballs, lamb meatballs and eggplant, how your wife doesn't like that. I'm like, yes, I very much relate to that because I love lamb like far more than anyone else in my family, and I don't understand like why I have to eat chicken so much if I could eat lamb. So, but I thought it was a good sign that your wife was converted by that. And I also really want to make that creamy tomato soup with orzo. Anyway, I could just like list every recipe in the book and we'd be here.
I would enjoy that. That would be fine. This is already so nice.
And I especially because I was going back over everything today, and I was just kind of like, I'm very like my cooking energy is a little fried this week. And I loved what you had to say about how sometimes you just don't feel like even peeling an onion. And you said, what I've come to realize, is it weird? Is it weird when I read your words to you?
No, because this is, I mean, I've just been talking my head off. This is delightful. I want the Deb Perelman audio version of Simply Julia. I would listen to that. I'm here for
okay, no, you're going to be talking. Okay, I just wanted to say, I loved what you said, is that what I've come to realize is that you can believe in home cooking and also sometimes feel tired of it. That's okay. Both of these things can be true at the same time. This cookbook celebrates the marathon and not the sprint. And I was like, I needed to hear that sometimes. I don't think my editor of the book I'm supposed to be finishing right now wants me to have heard that right now, but I heard it and I took it to heart.
It's good to be honest.
I think there really is this idea that when you cook professionally, that it's something you want to do 24/7, and it's just not natural. It's not true at all. When does your cooking, when do you feel the most inspired to cook? When are you like, I cannot wait to get into the kitchen? Are there certain things that precede it? Because I think being in our line of work, we have to sort of like sense when it's coming on and be in the right place. How about for you? Like what tends to bring on a cooking mood?
Yeah, I love this question. And for a second, I thought we were just going to talk about all the reasons we don't love to cook, which I'm so here for. But also, like, I know people came because they probably like to cook. So the times when I feel most excited to get in the kitchen usually are when I'm cooking for someone else. And that can be, maybe it is my wife's birthday and I want to make something really special. Maybe we're doing a volunteer shift, which we do regularly in our community. And, you know, I show up for that. Like, I mean, literally, but also like I show up for it. Like I feel inspired to do it. So usually when it involves giving of some sort, like I love cooking for holidays. I know that stresses a lot of people out, but like I love it. But the day-to-day daily home cooking, which I've done for years pre-pandemic, yeah, sometimes it gets like a little like a lot. It gets a lot. And I think honestly, what bugs me is not cooking. I'm usually like pretty happy to cook. It's am I willing to make a bit of a mess that needs to be cleaned up? Like that's the part that kind of gets me down. And it's like, I am very fortunate because I own a dishwasher, which is a wonderful thing. And it's like, am I going to empty the dishwasher again? Like, didn't I just put these things away? And my home is just me and my wife. Like, we don't have anyone else living here, no children, or, I mean, we have dogs and they use a lot of bowls. Like, I feel like dog food bowls.
That's so good on the dishes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, usually when it's like a little bit of an occasion and giving.
That's great. And
what about you? Can I ask?
I guess I don't want to talk too much about me. Well, I tend to get the most inspired to cook when I am nowhere near a kitchen. It usually is like, and this has been a little bit tough in the last year. I tend to get very inspired, like if we're on vacation or we're traveling, or the car, and my husband's driving, and I'm just like looking out the window. I'm like, oh, I just thought of something I wanted to do with those green beans or something. And that's when I really get, and I come back like brimming with energy because I've taken a break from the kitchen. And obviously in the last year, that's been really hard. I haven't taken really any vacations, so
Yeah.
that's made it a little bit challenging
Yeah.
to get a break from the kitchen. And certainly when I'm on like, deadline and have a certain
Mhm.
amount of cooking I need to do each day and each week, and kind of to get it right, it kind of like, it's very easy to sort of fry the ends of my cooking
Mhm.
joy. I
Yeah,
made macaroni and cheese tonight for dinner.
that's great.
So
Did you
proud.
make it? Did you do that your stovetop one? Did you do a
I
box?
did the stovetop.
Yeah,
I
it's so
also
good.
wasn't hungry. Well, I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
It's great. It's great.
It it works. It's just
Mhm.
sometimes it's just about execution, and that was very much about execution. But
Yeah.
I want to talk about you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't want to talk too much about the negative, but so I've talked about what kind of burns me out. But if we don't spend too much time on it, what tends to fry you in the kitchen? Is it just that feeling of all the tasks involved, like the cooking and the washing, and then the emptying the dishwasher is like my least favorite.
Totally. I am like just trying so much to be present and just listen to you, but I saw just one question just pop up on my screen, and it asked if I'm drinking a margarita, and I am. So I just want to confirm that. I made one right before, and I was like, why haven't I been doing this for every Zoom call like during the pandemic? Anyway, I just wanted to answer that. So yeah, in terms of what kind of gets me down, it's the cleaning up. And I just feel like, and I think you understand this really well, and you write about this and you share this, but I think, you and I both being home cooks who write for other home cooks, like we are not restaurant chefs who have like a team prepping ingredients for us or cleaning up, everything. Like I take all of this into consideration when I write a recipe. And that's why, if I can get away with doing something in one dish and not two, like I'll never tell you to use the extra dish. Like I just won't, because like I don't want to clean it up. And I just think, we don't write at the end of the recipe like last step, wash the dishes, but like that's part of it, right? And
Yeah.
I just think a lot of this goes, oh, sorry, can you hear my dogs? I don't know what they're barking
I love
it. My wife is downstairs with them, like trying to keep them quiet, but I think they're like, we hate dishes. But
that's okay. My husband's out there with the kids trying to keep them quiet, so it's same.
It's all, yeah, this is what it is. I think for me, I always feel just really, even the times when I don't feel like cooking, I feel really grateful that I, for the most part, love to cook, because it makes me feel just like I'm taking care of myself and I'm taking care of my wife. And I feel very grateful to have the ability to do that, like always, but especially like over the last year. Like I am just really grateful to be a home cook. And that has made me aware of, in terms of like the dishes that I just keep talking about, but like there's so much labor we do as home cooks. And, and it's not just cooking and cleaning, it is also planning and often budgeting. And it's like keeping a constant mental inventory of like, what is in the fridge, what is in the back of the freezer, like what's in the cabinet, what needs to be used up. Like this is work, like, and it's often unpaid and undervalued work. And I just think it's worth acknowledging it for what it is, because it's really valuable. Like home cooks are, I just think they're like, we are like the anchors of our homes and our communities. Like this is really important stuff. And I just think it's worth acknowledging, like, yes, all the wonderful, exciting things, like putting two flavors together that it's just really fun, or like, I don't know, there's a recipe in Simply Julia for breakfast nachos. Like how fun to have like nachos for breakfast. Like that is like one of the wonderful moments, but it also comes with like all this other stuff. Like, and I just appreciate the opportunity to just like acknowledge it and like just tell everyone who's listening tonight. I just imagine there's a lot of people, there's so many of you here, and I just imagine so many of you are people who do a lot and maybe don't get the credit for it. And I just want to like give you a big high five.
Oh, I think this is why we all love you so much, is that you're just human and real. I mean, so many cookbooks are written from a chefy perspective. And while I can learn a lot of cool things from chefs, it doesn't really tell me like what's going on in my own home at like 5:40 when the kids are going to be home 6 and they're going to be hungry and they're going to be like, what do you mean there's no dinner ready?
Yeah.
Hunger is real, and you're not always just motivated because like somebody else is hungry.
Nothing.
I'm speaking from experience or anything. I love, there's like so much, I have like 100 questions for you. And of course we're just talking about like other stuff, which is fine too, because this is so much fun to
I
chat.
am
But
up for anything. It's also just really nice
but
to see you. It's like, I
I
am just so
know.
happy. I'm grateful for Zoom. It's not the same. I know. I wish
Uh-oh.
we were all in Seattle,
Okay.
but it's amazing that we can all be here. Can
It
you hear
is
me?
really
Sorry.
cool. I mean, it's like pretty amazing. I think was it me or
I think
okay.
it was probably me because I do not live in the city and my internet is like good, but not great.
It's pretty solid. I loved, by the way, your story about how you're not a loud talker and you went to this singing workshop and it was so lovely. And I was like, can I send my kids to what the opposite of the singing workshop? It's this constant thing where I'm like, you only need to speak to the volume of the person that you're speaking to and not to like the apartments around us. And but I thought that was so lovely. And I remember the first time we met, I think we went out for lunch at
Mm-hmm.
Via Carota, this like
Mm-hmm.
very before times and probably like close to a decade ago, to be honest. But and and it can be very lousy. Lousy. No, it can be very loud.
Uh-huh.
Loud and noisy together is not lousy, by the way, at lunchtime. And I remember you are very like gentle
Yeah.
speaker and like what?
Yeah. And it was also just like a revelation for me because this singing workshop gave me this like breakthrough about why people like you and myself write recipes, which might not be obvious. Should I explain that? Does that not make any sense to anyone?
um I'm checking the comments to make sure we haven't lost anyone on it. But it was just, I thought it was just such a lovely way to teach you to like come
Mhm.
out of your, to get your voice louder. I thought it was just such a like a nice, and I bet it was like so. I mean, when you're a kid and you're in summer camp or music class, you sing all the time. And as an adult, if I sing, somebody probably tells me to stop singing. You're embarrassing me, mom. So it was a really lovely story. All right, I would love to talk some more about some of the recipes in here because there's so much good stuff. I barely know where to begin. Did I freeze or did you might have frozen? I don't want you to miss
Yeah.
this. Okay,
I
can
am
you hear
so
me
sorry.
okay?
It froze again. Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
It
okay.
should be okay now. Okay. Did you ask me a question?
Okay, all good. Yes, I'm just reading
Okay.
the comments. I know I didn't. I waited to ask you because I realized you wouldn't hear. I wanted to, because I love the whole concept of the book, which is healthy comfort food. And
Mhm.
I personally really struggle with the word healthy. And I love the way you talked about it and put it out there. What does healthy comfort food mean to you? Why was it important for you to write a book about healthy
Yeah.
comfort food?
Thank you so much for asking me this because this is like, to me, this is like the heart of the book and something that's just really important to me. So, long story short, and I'll tell you the long story, but long story short, I wrote a healthy cookbook that is not about weight loss and it's not about deprivation or restriction or guilt or telling you what you should be doing or what you shouldn't be doing. To me, healthy and what I mean by it in this book is about our relationship to what we cook and what we eat and how we feel when we do these things. And it has zero to do with any numbers, like nothing to do with calories or whatever, fat grams or like anything like that. Like the only measurements are the ingredients. And this feels like both sort of obvious to me and also like slightly revolutionary because I haven't seen that before. And I think that, I mean, if that exists in a cookbook, like please tell me because I would really love to own that cookbook. Um, and for me, this was crucially important because I didn't know that for a while. For a long time, along with so many other people, just thought the word healthy was like a nicer word to use than skinny or just like disordered eating, to be honest. I think it's a word that gets thrown on a lot of things like cookbooks and food, like menus and packaged food, like anywhere where there's like a word that's selling you something about food. Like I think healthy is used to indicate like this will prioritize thinness and this is anti
froze for a minute. It's so, I'm just going to talk for a minute so it's not totally dead, but it's so beautiful, Julie. And I'm like reading the chat and it looks like everybody really, like it really resonates with everyone.
Fact. And
I thought it was,
I just think that's, I also come to that. This is like the first time this has happened so many times. Should I call from my phone? Is that weird? Should I try that?
I mean, it was just a couple seconds,
okay.
I think, but I don't know how much we missed.
Okay. Where did I leave off? Like healthy and skinny are not the same.
Yes, exactly. It was just about like 20 seconds.
Okay. I'm so sorry to everyone who's like watching me just go like this.
Real life.
Yeah, totally real life. Thank you for the person I just said, yeah, not a problem. I appreciate that.
Everyone's like, nope, we got this. Don't worry. It happens to everyone. It's all good.
Thank you, Deb, for filling in these moments. Did you see I just clutched my chapstick because I'm like, oh no. So for me, in terms of defining healthy in this way as completely about like our just relationship to food and our relationship to our bodies and how we feel, this all comes from a deeply personal place of not always feeling this way. And for so long, I absolutely was part of diet culture, as we all are, because it's all around us, like whether we want to be part of it or not, like we're in it. And we can choose.
We paused. You know what? Maybe we should do, let me see how long it takes Julia to come back. Maybe we should do the call-in thing. There was something really
to see it and choose to maybe not participate. Okay, you guys are all going to come on a trip with me and I'm going to go downstairs. So we're going through the house. Yeah, because I think the connection might be better here. This is our staircase. Hi, everyone. Grace, the internet is being so mean to me. So I'm going to sit here if that's okay.
Not every day you get a tour of the Design Sponge house.
Here's Winky.
Aww.
Okay. Thank you all for coming on this journey with me, quite literally. Hopefully this is better in this room because this is exactly where the modem is. I'm sorry, you can't see all my favorite cookbooks behind me, but yes, healthy, skinny, not the same thing. I come to this from a deeply personal place because I just was a participant in and a preacher of diet culture for so long. And that left me feeling really bad about myself most of the time. You know, cooking and eating are part of our daily lives. Cooking isn't for everyone, but for many of us it is. And it meant that my lifelong joy of cooking, it was also coupled with not always feeling the same joy about eating. And for me, the consumption of the food I so love to prepare, I often felt really fraught about that. And I felt like I just was failing because I wasn't in the body I thought I should be in. And so for me, just untangling this, what I think of as like a knot, has just been like a very liberating thing. And that was something I wanted to share, not just like in a cookbook of, you know, easy recipes, but in a cookbook of recipes that I consider each one healthy, including the breakfast nachos.
It's so beautiful. And as I said, I'm reading the chat and I can see it's resonating with so many people. This idea of health being feeling good and feeling like a glow from within and feeling good about what you're eating and what you're cooking and not separating yourself from that. I do think we lost you again though. I'm looking for the passage I wanted to read until Julia's back.
Because they're fun, and like fun is part of health.
I think we lost you again for a moment, but we're so happy to see you.
Thank you so much for filling in. I'm so sorry this is happening.
You have a very talkative co-host. I'll be fine.
I really appreciate it. We should, you know, when it's safe, we'll go on the road together.
On the topic of healthy recipes, you have a variety, like a really wide variety of dishes in your books, from vegan to gluten-free to dairy-free and the low sugar. You've got a great index for it. Why was it really important? Why was it important for you to shine a light on these recipes?
I feel like it was important for me because I think if one thing.
Don't make me sing, guys. I have not been to singing class. You do not want to hear me sing. I want to, I'm looking at, I'm looking at the chat. No. Let me, I wanted to, there was the part that I was starting to read where Julia says that she wants to encourage
work for all of us in terms of what made us table. Okay. I am just going to quickly turn on and off my Wi-Fi, and I'm going to grab my phone and call in.
There was something really lovely where Julia says in the intro to the book that she describes every single recipe in this book as healthy, and she encourages a personal definition of the word. And I like highlighted this and I bolded it. I love the idea of there being a personal definition of the word healthy, like where we all kind of like come from our own place, and healthy is what makes us feel good. She said that healthy food in my book, like literally does not have any room for guilt. It's full of agency to pick and choose, and it comes from a place of love, not fear. All right, I think Julia's about to come back. Yay!
Okay.
Are you back? Yay!
I am back. We restarted the internet. My deepest apologies. And I also, okay, I have my cell phone here. These are pictures of our pets. And if that happens again, I'll call in. Okay. Thank you all for just like being patient with me. I really appreciate it. Did you sing when it cut out for me?
No,
you said don't make me sing.
So no, I read a passage that I really liked from your intro, but I don't have to read it to you because you probably know it by heart by now. But I had asked you why you wanted to include the different diets, and I don't think we got to hear. Yeah.
I wanted to include it because I feel like if one size fit all in terms of what's healthy or what makes us feel good, then we wouldn't need categories or, different requirements or needs or anything. And I just wanted to kind of like address that straight on. Like, we all come to food with, different baggage and with different allergies and restrictions and all sorts of stuff for all different reasons. And I basically just really dislike, I just want to show you Winky is upside down. I'll just leave it here so you can watch her. I just want to feel like her all the time, right?
We all deserve to feel like Winky.
Totally free and like totally okay with her body, and just she also doesn't know she's on Zoom. So funny. Yeah, I just basically want everyone to feel included. I hate the feeling of, if you have a group of people over, which I know it's been a long time since most of us have done that, but if you have a group of people over and someone at the table is vegan or someone has a food allergy, and that person either gets like a separate meal or brings something separate, like it just feels like you are othered in that moment. I just want everyone to feel included. Like, I want to serve a meal that everyone can eat and enjoy, no matter what the needs are at the table. So I wanted to extend that feeling to the book. And it's why I listed the recipes, so it's, you don't have to go through, if you have celiac disease, like, I don't want you to have to page through the book figuring out what you can or can't eat. Like, I just want to give you a list so you know which page to turn to. Like, my goal is to just make things easy. Right, Winky? Right.
You've been a private chef for families. I love your 7 things I learned from being a private chef, and you've co-authored so many cookbooks. What do you think? I mean, it's such a massive question, but what have you learned from private chefing that you've incorporated into your books? Because I feel like private chefing is like a whole other animal, and I often feel like private chefs write some great cookbooks, and there's something in there. I don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing I've taken away from my experience working as a private chef was, in the years that I did that, I was still a home cook. I was just cooking in other people's homes, right? I was cooking in often really beautiful homes. And my favorite thing was I was getting to cook with ingredients I didn't have to pay for. So that was a really wonderful experience. But other things I learned in that position were basically cooking under a lot of pressure, which is something I try not to bring into my home kitchen. But responding to that and knowing how to deal with that, I think has made me like a very efficient cook. And I think that's really helpful. And I think most of all, anyone who hires a private chef is someone who's in a position of tremendous privilege. So I got to see a lot of just privilege and wealth, like from like a front row seat. And it really helped me just kind of understand that that's not always everything it's cracked up to be. And like, yeah, a lot of money can make a lot of things much easier, including hiring someone to cook for you, but it doesn't mean it makes your life free of challenge or necessarily full of joy. And those years really helped me kind of realign my understanding to what I think of as success. And it's easy, I think, in our business to have success be something that corresponds to things like how many books did we sell, or how many people read your post or clicked on your social media thing or whatever. I just want to keep following Winky because now she's on her pillow. And for me, it's now like I measure success like, did I help someone figure out what to make for dinner tonight? Or, did I have a meaningful conversation with a colleague who I haven't seen in a while? Like, these things are kind of like the currency I try to think about.
I love when you said that you often, when you're just cooking and you're just trying to get it done, you always grab the nonstick skillet instead of the cast iron. And I was like, what is happening here? I think people will be, who haven't read the intro yet, will be so happy to hear that. And do you want to talk about that just for a moment?
Sure.
Because I think people feel like we're not supposed to be cooking in nonstick, or like it's a step down and real cooks don't cook with nonstick, and it's just such nonsense. But I want to hear it in your words.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I like what you said and I agree with it. I use a nonstick pan all the time. And in terms of how it fits into this book, it's not because it lets me get away with like using less oil or fat. I use a nonstick pan all the time because they're so easy to clean. And that is why I turn to it. And that's important to me and important to point out in a recipe because A, it's what I do. And I just want to be honest. And B, or two, I don't know what kind of list I'm using. But second, it's also because an ease of cleaning and ease of preparation, like easiness, also falls under my definition of healthy. Like, I think healthy cooking and eating should be easy and can be easy. And it can mean just like throwing something together in a pan that you can just, throw into your dishwasher. Like, I love my cast iron pan. I love cast iron. I'm all for it. But I also love my dishwasher. And I don't want to put my cast iron pan in my dishwasher. Like, that's basically it. Like, I don't have like a more intellectual reason. It's just, it basically all comes back to dishes for me. And yeah, I think, the subtitle of the book is Easy Recipes for Healthy Comfort Food. And healthy comfort is so important to me. And I'm so glad we got to speak about that. But easy is also really important to me. And it's part of the whole thing.
It is sort of strange. Oh my goodness, this is a whole other thing. Like I could talk, like everything that makes things easier in the kitchen is eventually sort of like looked down on, which is so strange to me because it just, why shouldn't cooking be executable? What's like one bowl recipes? You have so many one bowl recipes and one pan recipes, and nobody should apologize for being busy. Like, like there's this idea that you're supposed to like want to spend 2 hours making dinner. Why would you do that if you could spend 30 minutes making dinner? And I love that energy in your books too, and your recipes.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I feel like I appreciate what you're saying, because I think the thing of like people looking down on whether it's a nonstick pan or like a quick or a simple recipe, in that moment, I just question like, who's doing the looking down and like, what are they selling you? Like what product, or, like, I think people who try to make things that don't have to be complicated seem more complicated, like often are benefiting from it in some way. And I really just push against that, which I know is rich coming from me. I'm trying to sell a cookbook. but
sorry.
No, I feel
like,
but yeah. No, you go.
Please, I'm talking enough. No, I always think of this idea as like, no, I actually want to join the dinner party. Like I want to sit with the guests. I don't want to be in the kitchen. So like if your goal is to like cook good food, but also like enjoy the life that comes from sitting down and enjoying it. Like you're going to not be topping off a soup with like some really fussy, like last minute finish that you have to be standing in the kitchen for.
I totally agree. Cause like if I'm invited to someone's house and they're going to make a meal for me, which is the best, like that is the best thing. And the last thing I want is for the person who's cooking and doing this generous thing of making me dinner. The last thing I want is for them to be stressed, and it makes me stressed and it makes me worried. And like, I just want us all to sit around and eat something that like they made yesterday and they just heated up, because that's what I want to do. Right. Like we all just want to be comfortable. And I feel like someone asked me recently, I was doing like a podcast interview, and the guy, and he's like, whatever, it's not important who it is, but he was basically like, wow, I can't believe you admitted that like you use garlic powder. And I was like, garlic powder is delicious. And like, I don't use it. I think garlic powder is its own wonderful, beautiful ingredient, like, and fresh garlic is too. And there's room for both of them. Like, and I feel like this looking down on thing, I feel like is so much about, I don't know. I don't want to try and impress anyone when I cook, and I don't want anyone to try and impress me. I just like want us to take care of each other and take care of ourselves.
A few of the recipes in the book are inspired by your volunteer work at Angel Food East. And I would love to just hear a little bit about like why you wanted to incorporate this and what you learned. It's a totally different mode of cooking that so many of us have not experienced or know much about.
Yeah. So Angel Food East is a organization that's close to where Grace and I live. And it's basically our small local version of Meals on Wheels. So a number of volunteers, which we are two of many volunteers, we cook these homemade meals. We serve about 70 clients. And during our cooking shift, we prepare those meals, from scratch. We package them up, we seal them, we put them in the fridge, and then other volunteers come and take those meals and deliver them to all of the clients who are all homebound for a variety of reasons, like mostly medical, it could be other things too. And we have done a regular weekly shift for going on 5 years now. We were there today. It's part of our week. And, I don't think most people who pick up my book are like once a week cooking for 70 people. Maybe they are. But I've learned a lot in those shifts, including what it is to cook for people who really like benefit from the care we're able to provide. And when I think about that, I'm thinking about, if someone is living with some kind of illness and they're on like a strong medication and maybe they've lost their appetite, but it's like important that they have nutritious food, to continue to heal and, do whatever they need to do. I want to make food that they want to eat, that hopefully like makes them excited to open up the package, and it makes them feel comforted, and it's familiar and it's not challenging. It just is good. Today we made potatoes with like garlic butter, and it's complicated because of COVID, but we've been like, we used to do our shift with our friend Roger, but now we come separately and he like preps and we finish. But we did these, garlic butter potatoes, and we did pork chops on top of like red cabbage. And it was just like really simple, but really good and fresh, and like made with like a lot of love. And it's healthy comfort food. And we've learned to make it quickly and easily. And that is what I wanted to put into the book. So many of the recipes in the book are things we've cooked at Angel Food. They're just scaled down for a few people. The recipes aren't for 70. And I just wanted to share a lot about it because it's part of my regular cooking life. And this book is just, things I've learned and want to share. And the food that we prepare at Angel Food is, a big part of that. And I think it just fits in really well with the, just vibe.
I'm looking through the questions, and this is one that also overlaps with one of mine.
Okay.
Not to shift gears too aggressively, but everybody wants to know, when you write a cookbook, like what recipe should I start with? And by the way, when I receive cookbooks, I'm like, what recipe does this person want me to start with? And I feel, but if you ask me what my favorite recipe in a book is, I'm like, I'm not choosing among a favorite child, but for me, it's often just what I'm craving that day, like is my favorite thing. So I think people would love to hear if there were like what 5 recipes would you encourage people to
Sure.
jump in with first?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, whenever I get asked that question, if it's like an individual asking me, my response is always like, what do you like? Because, you know,
What
then
are
I
you
can,
craving?
yeah, then I can direct you to something that maybe hopefully is that or is close to that. Because I think that's what you should be cooking, something you like. But I guess off the top of my head, 5 recipes, maybe the 5 that I make most frequently. The white pizza style kale. I love it. It's just a skillet of like garlicky kale, and you put like ricotta and mozzarella, and you run it under the broiler, and then you put my favorite thing, garlic powder, and some like dried oregano, which is like what I would shake on a piece of New York City pizza. It's so good. I think it like really is like the embodiment of the recipes in this book. Like it's a pan of greens, right? But they're also delicious. They're not afraid of flavor or fat, and it's really fun. Um, so that I really, really love. I love the Brunswick stew. It's my mother-in-law's recipe, and it's like from like an old cookbook, and you know, kind of adapted, but it's like the thing that my mother-in-law makes every time we go visit my in-laws. Like she's always made a pot of it the day before and heats it up when we get there, and it's like, it's just like this very warm meal, like literally and figuratively. I love that recipe. Um, uh, you know, thank you for asking me about Angel Food East, because it gives me an excuse to mention Georgine, who is our friend who we volunteered with. And she sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And she was in her 90s, and you know, we got to cook with her once a week and hang out with her, you know, during the last couple of years of her life. And she was our friend, and she was amazing. And the book is, you know, I dedicated it in her memory, and also our cat Turk, who sadly passed away. And we like to picture them together because she really loved animals. But she was an amazing baker, and she made great coffee cake. Our other dog just ran down here. Oh, you're going. Okay. She's like, no, I'm not going to be on camera. But Georgine made delicious coffee cake. So I did a coffee cake recipe in the book. Kind of in her, you know, an ode to Georgine. And it's such a good coffee cake. It's really easy to make. I also, I mean, I love so many of the recipes. The Tex-Mex meatballs are great. They're like, it's my dad's meatloaf recipe translated to meatballs because I'm impatient and they cook faster. I don't know how many I've named. I could go on. I mean, I really love them all. That's why they're there. But yeah, those are some favorites.
And there's been so much in the chat. People love the mushroom kale pot pie. I love vegetarian pot pies. It sounds amazing. I'm telling you what should be your favorite, which is hilarious. But I love seeing all the enthusiasm for the book. How many things people have cooked already?
I know, and it's only been like out a week. I'm so happy that people are into the pot pie because it's so fun. And what I love about it, I love a lot about it. One, roasting mushrooms, I think, is the way to cook mushrooms because it's just, you're not splattering oil anywhere. They like get really concentrated and delicious. You can cook a bunch at the same time. It's so good. So you can just make roasted mushrooms and that's it. You can stop there and like be really happy. But with the pot pie, I love it because you take one sheet of puff pastry, like frozen, already prepared puff pastry, and you just cut it into triangles and layer them on top. So you don't have to, you're not wasting any. You're not like cutting out a circle and then like, what do I do with the rest of this? And it also looks really beautiful and it looks kind of interesting, which is fun. And you also don't have to crimp anything. Like I'm always asking people what they love to cook, but the question I ask more often is like, what keeps you from cooking? Like, what is something that like, if you see a recipe in a book and you're like, this sounds good, but like, oh no, this is too much. I'm going to turn the page. Like, I always want to know what makes people turn the page. Like, how can I keep you on the page? Yeah. And it's pie dough and it's making it and it's crimping it. So here, like you buy the frozen puff pastry, you don't have to crimp anything and it's beautiful and it's delicious. So yes.
Somebody asked what ingredient we'll never see in this book. Are there any things that you're just like, nope, absolutely never, either because you don't like them conceptually or you don't like them taste wise?
You know what? I mean, I really tried to not apply judgment to food in general, but I guess I tend to, I call for like plenty of packaged things and store-bought things, but I try not to call for anything that's like too specific that I can, you know, like something that's made in my town or something that like no one else can get. Like, I'm not going to include that because what's the point? But I guess in general, I'm not a fan of the fake meat, like the Impossible Burger and stuff. Like I just feel like, I mean, I get that a lot of people are into it. I just get upset because I feel like, I don't know, so much money is poured into these companies that could be spent in other places. And so I just get angry.
There are also places in the world where people have been not eating meat for a very long time and without these products, which are usually very high in sodium and quite expensive. So again, I'm not, whatever works for everybody at home is the thing that they should do. But I'm with you. I haven't really, I was vegetarian for a long time and I never was really, I'm not obviously now, but I was never really into the product part of it. I just but I like lentils. So maybe it was easier for me.
And lentils are delicious.
I hate to ask too much inside baseball things, even though it's like I have so many questions like that, but they're coming up from other people too.
Okay.
So talk about the cover. Like, how did you choose the cover? How did you choose to be on the cover? Like, I find the cover process to be my least favorite in general. So I'm curious how you found it and what you chose and why. Why you chose what you chose.
It's the covers of books are hard and they're hard to figure out. And I think it's the place in a book, any book, including cookbooks, where like there are the most cooks in the kitchen. Like I feel like when you're working on a cookbook, which obviously Deb, but for anyone listening, like I feel like in terms of all the pages inside the book, like the meat of the book, like all the material, there's not input from so many people. There's like your editor and the book designer, but when it comes to the cover, all of a sudden all these people like come out of all the offices, like people in marketing and publicity and all sorts of other people, and all of a sudden everyone has like an opinion. And it's interesting to me that all of that attention is applied to the cover more than the interior of the book. But in terms of the cover of this book, it's a picture of me in my kitchen, and the title of the book is written in my handwriting. And all the recipe titles in the book are in my handwriting. I basically wanted the book to feel really personal, and I just kind of wanted it to feel like my grocery list. Like that was my thought. And the title of the book, Simply Julia, my mom I know is watching. And my mom, I don't even know if my mom remembers this. This is a shirt my mom gave me because I knew she was watching. So that's why I'm wearing it. My mom came up with that title like years ago. And for years, she's been like, Julia, you should do a book called Simply Julia. Like, have you thought about this? Like, and she put it like on a mental Post-it note that I've just kept up here. And I didn't know that I would be on the cover of the book at first. And it basically came about pretty organically because this book started off being absolutely intended to be the most practical book I've ever written. And I think that carried through, but over time it evolved into also the most personal. I added the essays we talked about, the handwriting, all this stuff. So with the great support of, here's our other dog, Hope. Hi, Hope. Oh, she's having a private moment. Sorry. It evolved into me being on the cover, which is, I mean, I feel good about it. But it definitely feels like quite literally putting myself out there in a way I just haven't before. But I wanted it to feel like this is from my kitchen to yours. This is me, and it's just me in my kitchen, like as I normally am. The only thing that's different is like I wash the dishes, but I'm not wearing makeup because I don't wear makeup. Like it's just me. And I wanted you to know that when you pick up this book off the shelf, like you're getting all of me. Like I put myself into this, and I'm really proud to put my name and face on it. And it also feels really important to me for two other reasons. One, I'm a very openly proud gay woman, and it just feels nice to put that out there. And I don't know that you know that from seeing a photo of me, but I just think in terms of representation and visibility, which are just really valuable things. I know they have been for me. I just wanted to, be confident and put myself out there, and that felt worth it. And the other thing is, my face, like my likeness is standing under the word healthy. And, I am not like a size 0, like, I don't know, like blonde, straight woman. Not that there's anything wrong with women who are a size 0 and blonde and straight, but it felt really important to me to put my body like on the line, so to speak. And my hope in doing this is that it just maybe will hopefully open a little bit more space on the shelf where healthy cookbooks are placed, to have more healthy cookbooks written by more people who do not look like me, people who live in all different types of bodies, people who live in much larger bodies, people who live in bodies that have all sorts of abilities or disabilities. And I just think we
Oh, we had such a good run near the modem. I'm looking at the questions. They're so lovely. And somebody's already saying, please don't apologize for who you are. You are perfect, which I think we all agree about Julia. And I love what she has to say about representation, because I think, I'm just reading the chat. It looks like it's
all
just
deserve to see ourselves
resonating with
represented
us.
under the word healthy. So, yeah.
We back? Do we have you back? I don't want to ask a question that you can't answer, but I'm looking at some of the other questions. There's a lot of questions about nonstick pans, about what Julia's favorite is. My favorite is the cheapest one that works, because they're not going to last forever. I know you didn't ask me this, but since I kind of have the floor here until Julia comes back. So I feel like they're not going to last forever. Julia,
I'm so
I was
sorry.
trying to
I know I
answer one of your
shouldn't say I'm sorry. What did you?
Don't
what was the question?
apologize. This is
What
just,
did you say?
oh, there were a whole bunch of questions, I think. And again, we're having this like very like beautiful conversation about representation. And I want you to finish what you were saying, but we lost about 30 seconds there. And
Okay.
then I was trying to answer a very lightweight question in the meanwhile.
Was it still on when I was talking about like me
You're
not
talking about
being
representation,
yeah,
and being
and me
yourself.
not being, and like not being like a size 0 and being under the word healthy?
Yeah, people don't want, they want you to be happy. Like they don't want to hear you apologizing for who you are. And I agree, because you're perfect.
Yeah, no, I'm I am not apologizing.
That's true. You did not say that. You were apologizing for inactivity.
I was apologizing for my internet connection, which I know I have no actual control over. So, but not for myself or my body.
So I was saying that there was so many, because we brought up nonstick pans, that there were so many questions about your favorite nonstick pan. And I took the liberty of saying, I actually believe in getting an inexpensive one, because they don't last forever.
Yes.
That's not going to chip off or like poison your food or anything like that. But that's my opinion. How do you feel?
Yeah, I do the same. Like I have purchased them, from like Target, like the Tefal ones. Like I think they're totally good. And and yeah, if they start to get like scratched up, that's when it's time to replace them, and they're pretty inexpensive. I also have one from Great Jones, which is like more expensive, but it's really nice and sturdy, like it's heavier, and so I feel like it heats more evenly. So I really like that one too. But yeah, there's room for both in my kitchen, so I'm lucky to have both, but I think both of those things are good options.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of questions about like your favorite. Do you have a favorite kitchen tool? You can only choose one. It's your dishwasher. We know.
Yeah, I think like my most used appliances are my dishwasher and my freezer. Like
wow,
I freeze so many things. But in terms of like tool, what do I use the most? I guess I reach for a wooden spoon the most, and my knife. Boring, just like normal,
I feel like there was something you'd mentioned in the book, which of course I have the wrong page open right now, so I won't find it, but there was something that had sounded like I was like, oh, I didn't know.
I think did I write about this? I hope I did. I'm pretty sure I did. I left my book upstairs in my like,
you can tell me and I'll tell you what's in there.
My swing away jar opener. I love this thing.
That's awesome.
It's so actually, I don't use it like every day, but it's like this thing you can put, I could probably go get it. You put it on top of a jar and it helps you open it. It just like cranks on there and it gives you like a little leverage, and it's so helpful.
Okay, I need that. I have this
Yeah.
like little rubber flat, like this flat piece of rubber
Yeah.
that like probably has like, it's like 100 years old. My husband always wants to throw it away. I'm like, no, it's like the best thing.
Yeah. I mean, if that works, that works. That's
yeah.
great.
But no, I know I want this. I'm looking through the questions for what else.
Let me ask
it. I'm watching the time.
I'm going to have to make her get it. Grace, if you open the silverware drawer, is my jar opener thing I love in there? I want to show them. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Grace.
There were some questions about your recipe development process, and it could be like a very heavy question, or it might be something that you can like answer.
I can answer quickly.
Yeah. What is it? What's your process? Tell me how it's done, because I've forgotten how to cook this week.
When it comes to like developing and writing recipes, I start everything on the page. I write before I go into the kitchen. So when it comes to making a book, I write the entire table of contents before I write a single recipe, and it can change totally. Thank you very much.
Okay, like how much does it change? This is
okay.
That's so cool.
So you put it like, this is the end of my margarita, but pretend it's a jar. It like extends, and you crank this to get like grip, and then you can just like turn this thing. It's so great, and it takes up like no space. It's made by Swing Away is the name. They make can openers.
That's awesome. Everyone's my grandmother like ordering it.
Right now. It's really useful. My grandmother introduced me to it, and I just like, I don't know. I feel like I have this whole thing about like, I feel like opening jars has become like, it's like not that it's become, but it historically has been like a very heteronormative thing. Like, is there a man here who could open the jar? And I'm just like, I've got my Swing Away. I'm good.
Got my little rubber flappy thing that I've got in the drawer.
Totally. So for recipes, I write them. So I write the table of contents. To me, writing a book is like this puzzle that you're fitting together all the pieces. And I'm not a musician. I went to the singing workshop, but I'm not a singer. But I liken it to how I think that musicians might put together an album. Like what order are these things going to go into? How's it going to feel? And then, then I write my recipes. I imagine how I'm going to make them. I guess at the amounts of things, and then I print it out. I have my printer, and I go into my kitchen with a red pen, and I make it, and I write a bunch of notes, and then I add my notes to it. And I just repeat that process as many times as I need to. This book, Grace, who just brought the Swing Away jar opener, Grace tested all the recipes in the book, which was an amazing experience. And I learned so much because, testing your own recipes is a little bit like editing your own writing. Like, I know what I mean. And to watch her make the recipes right in front of me was really just fascinating, because it helped me understand when I wasn't being as clear as I thought I would. And I think it's part of why the recipes in this book, I think, are the easiest to follow that I've ever written. And that's something I've prided myself on. Like, I feel like I write clear recipes, but these are like super crystal clear. And then I send them out to friends and family with like a list of questions, because as a cookbook author, it's important to me to know that the recipes will turn out in kitchens in many other places with so many other variables, and when I'm not there. So yeah, that's it.
That's really interesting. I love that you had Grace testing them. I'm going to go and tell my husband he needs to make all the recipes in my book this time. But I find it very helpful though, when before I go through the rest in my own books, before I go through the process with professional recipe testers, and I actually do that because I want it to be kind of like strangers a little bit. Like, I don't want them to like have any sense of knowing what I'm trying to do. But I find it very helpful to just like throw it to a friend who, like, in my last book, I had a marble cake, and I have a friend who loves marble cake. And when she said, I gave it to her, and then 3 hours later, she's like, here's my marble cake. And it looked exactly like mine. I'm like, all right, I think we're good. I think this is sorted.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody wants to know if you're a Taurus.
I'm a Leo.
I don't know what any of these things mean. I'm sorry.
My brother's a Taurus.
This surest sign that I'm not young is that I'm not like, I don't know anything about astrology. I'm looking at the other questions because there's definitely some fun things. Lots about the Nonstick Pan. We went through that. Somebody wants to know where you're from. Are you from the From?
I am
Where's
from New York City. I was born downtown, and then when I was in the third grade, my family, which is my parents, my older brother, and also my babysitter, I very much consider her part of my family. We decamped to the suburbs, and then I came back to Manhattan for college and stayed there until I met Grace, and now we live a few hours outside of the city. So always New York.
There's a bit about kitchen organization, but I think we're running low on time. There is a question. I mean, this is such a tough one because how many cookbooks have you written? And also, you've ghostwritten a lot of cookbooks too.
So just in terms of kitchen organization, really quickly, one of the 7 lists in the back of the book. So all my books, I've done this section, like 7 lists. It's 7 lists. It's what it is, what I call it. And each list has 7 things on it. And one of the lists in this book is all kitchen organization tips, because it's something I'm very passionate about. And I think that your kitchen should work for you, not the other way around. And also, in addition to this, the best thing I can tell you about are those OXO makes them, a lot of other companies make them, but the little turntables that you can put like your spices on, or your vitamins, or like in your fridge, you can put all your condiments. They are a game changer. Sorry, how many books? So I do not consider myself someone who's ghost written, because to me, that's someone who hasn't gotten any acknowledgement. Like, you get paid, but you don't get acknowledgement. And I've been very well acknowledged in the work I've done. So in total, including books I've like collaborated on and everything, in total, I have worked on 15 books. But I've got Simply Julia, and then Small Victories and Now and Again are my other solo books. And then I also put together Feed the Resistance, which I consider a book that's from a community. You know, there's over 20 contributors to that book, and they're all amazing. So, you know, whatever number you want. This one is my favorite. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, it really is. It's, as I mentioned, it's the most practical, the most personal, and I just think it's the most usable. And I'm just so happy with it. I'm really like excited, and I'm really happy with it. And I mean, you've done, you know, like more than one book. Like, it's, I don't know how you've felt. I hope that you've been really happy each time one has come out, but like, I've always had some like running notes for myself, and I don't know, I just feel really happy with this one. And I hope that people find it really helpful. And I don't know, this year has just been so hard for everyone in different ways. And I'm just really grateful I got to work on something that feels useful. I hope it is useful.
Well, I think that's such a nice ending note, because that was also my last question too. So it's so nice to hear, like, you know, how it separates it. And it's just, there's so much excitement about it. So I love how proud you feel of it. And
Thank you.
Look forward to getting there
on my next book. You've got my number.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's really so nice to see you. And again, thank you everyone for your patience with my very weird internet connection tonight.
No, it's all right. You were both troopers. I'm telling you, Deb, your improv skills, you know, they were amazing.
And I didn't have to say.
So much to both of you. Julia, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So wonderful. Deb, thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be posting this to YouTube, and we'll send you the link so you can watch it again or share it with friends. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and healthy, and hopefully we will start doing things like this in person again sooner rather than later.
That would be great. Thank you so much. You do so much for so many of us cookbook authors, and I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I will right now and just say thank you. It really means a lot. And you've built an amazing, amazing community. I'm so happy to just be a little tiny part of it.
Oh my gosh, that's very generous. Thank you so much.
Just facts.
Yes, and we definitely look forward to coming back and visiting again. It's such a wonderful store. I still carry your tote all the time, so it's
that is I can't tell you how much
I have worn it to death. I have 2, and I've worn them both to death.
Well, we will have to do another one then.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to write another book so I can, you know. Anyway, but thank you, Julia, for letting me be part of your book, and thank you for inviting me to come to this. Was
thank
really
you
fun.
for saying yes, and thank you all so much. This was so much fun.
It was really fun. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.